Today on Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living, we are visiting the Sport Kitchen in Los Angeles, California for a scrumptious, flavor-enticed vegan Thanksgiving feast. Spork Foods is a gourmet vegan food company owned and operated by lovely sisters Heather and Jenny Goldberg, who offer cooking classes, food consultation, and catering. As the Spork website reads, they create delicious, happy-to-be-alive dishes that are only possible with organic, high-quality ingredients. They love the challenge of taking classic non-vegan recipes and turning them into their better vegan counterparts. They want people to feel invigorated when they walk away from the table. And if you wished you were in Los Angeles to participate in these fun cooking classes, you're in luck. From anywhere in the world, you can join the Spork ladies virtually for their online classes at sporkonline.com.
So for our next recipe, which is the herb roasted seitan, that also goes in the oven, but unlike when you have to cook a turkey, this only takes about 35 to 40 minutes also, so you can have Thanksgiving faster. So how we do this is we basically put all the flavors that go into Thanksgiving. So we use a lot of fresh herbs in here, and then we combine that all in a mixture that is not too different from our stuffing, right? But it looks different. What we use is seitan, okay? So this is our own seitan that we made. It's Vital Wheat gluten, and it's like very meaty and delicious. And we put in some turmeric for color and some herbs. We put in some paprika, garlic powder, sea salt to make it flavorful. And there's actually a recipe on the package there for making your own seitan. And this is not even all of the package, okay? That package is about $4 to make your own for like all this stuff. And if you buy prepackaged seitan, you know, in like the little white wave package, that's like $5 for this. Okay, so it's really worth it if you're gonna go to the trouble of making your own. Very easy. You knead this together. It takes about 5 minutes of kneading. Then you put it in a broth. And in your broth, you can flavor it in any way you want. You didn't even cry. Look at you. Oh, you're crying. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's so sad.
I'm sorry. It's cleansing. Very cleansing.
Feels very cleansing right now.
So we're gonna mix our marinade in this bowl. And then we're gonna add our seitan and coat it. You can also do this with tofu. If you want to do this with tofu or tempeh, that works great as well. We're gonna use a blend of herbs. We're gonna use some thyme, sage, and rosemary together. Rosemary is a member of the mint family, and so is thyme. It's good for you, relieves headaches, good for digestion. So we just stem our rosemary by taking the top and then just pulling the bottom off. Thyme is a very delicate herb, and it's very delicious, and you stem it the same way. I'm gonna stem a bunch of thyme at once. So you just kind of get those little beautiful petals off there. Thyme is a little harder to grow. Doesn't grow as easily as rosemary, but it's worth it. And then these little beauties are sage. More sage, because it is Thanksgiving, so pile on the sage. And then that'll go on our herb roasted seitan. Okay, nice chopping, sis.
Thank you.
When you're planning out your menu, you do like to make it balanced. So right now we're focusing on making a protein-heavy dish. The stuffing was a little more carb-heavy. We always would recommend some raw elements in there, definitely some sort of salad or some raw dishes to help your other food digest really well. It's very important to eat a lot of raw foods at all times of year because that is what keeps food going through your body. You know, all that fiber in there, that's gonna keep you going, that's gonna keep you healthy. So we're also gonna add in for flavor, a little maple syrup.
And maple syrup is a native food. We are putting in
mustard. Stone ground mustard.
About 80% of the maple syrup producers are still owned by families.
We're gonna also add in a little bit of sea salt and pepper, a little more sea salt and pepper. Our marinade will be finished off by adding veggie broth. Go for it. We just like the stone ground mustard for its flavor rather than the really yellow mustard, which has a lot of turmeric in it. Mustard is also a very warming, another warming food, used in a lot of Indian cuisine. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna use this 9x12 dish for the seitan, and we're gonna put in the seitan, all of it. Woo. And it has a little of the marinade on it. My veggie broth that I cooked the seitan in, it was literally just that vegetable broth and a bay leaf. And I do a really simple style because for Thanksgiving, you want just the flavor to be from all those herbs. So you can use any broth you want when you're cooking your seitan, and it doesn't impart that much flavor. It's just a little bit.
So you can tell that she used turmeric in here because turmeric grows over time in color. It's actually a rhizome, it's a root, and it's an amazing anti-inflammatory food. So it's also good for, just joint pain and things like that. So what we're gonna do is we'll pour our marinade over this, and we'll coat them as best we can. And then we'll add some oil to the very top.
For this recipe, I'm gonna use the neutral tasting oil, just the safflower oil, or you can use refined coconut oil, whatever you want to use. And then we'll top it with some lemon wedges. Alrighty, so I'm gonna brush the seitan with a little bit of our neutral tasting oil, just to get that flavor on there and just to add a little crisp texture on the top. But we will be turning these over and marinating these, and you can cook this and keep adding veggie broth and keep adding herbs and cook this for a really long time until it's really flavorful. Don't be scared to season this stuff because it can absorb all the flavor you'll give it. It's like a little sponge.
So we're just gonna cut our lemon into rounds and put it over the top. Lemons are originally from India. And they're actually an amazing cancer-fighting food. They have incredible antibacterial qualities to them. So this just sort of infuses our seitan with the lemon flavor.
So when you make your own seitan, you have the choice of basically simmering it in a loaf shape, or you can cut it into slices. So let's say you wanted to stuff your seitan with your stuffing. You totally could do that. That looks really good, really flavorful, and you have a lot of liquid in here, which is what you want because you don't want it to evaporate right away. So now we can put this in the oven with our stuffing, and we'll check on our stuffing as well. Alrighty.
So we're gonna make our gravy now, which is something that you can use on so many different foods. And we're gonna start by making a roux. Have you guys ever made a roux before? Basically, it's equal parts of flour and fat. So we're gonna use our earthy bee, our best friend, and some flour and make that. And then that will just really help to thicken our gravy. We're not gonna need to use cornstarch. And in fact, we don't use cornstarch. Not because it's not vegan, but it's not very health supportive. So you can also thicken with arrowroot powder.
So this is our unbleached organic all-purpose flour. And this is our Earth Balance. Equal parts make a great roux. And we're just gonna bring this to a blonde roux stage, which is a really light roux. And you can even make a darker roux for a darker sauce. There's a bunch of different ways to use it. So we're gonna use that.
And we're using this beautiful pot that a friend of ours made. There are these sisters that we love so much, and they own a company called Green Cooking Pots. And these pots are made in El Monte. They're super local, and they're all eco-friendly. So there's no toxins in them. And we love using them, and they come in all these different colors, and we love these sisters. We're obsessed with them, and they're obsessed with us.
Where do you go?
You can actually order them online.
Yeah.
They're in a few catalogs right now. It's called greencookingpots.com.
This is turning into the roux that we're looking for. It's a blonde roux, so it's gonna stay this color.
So we're using cremini mushrooms, and when you want to stem your mushroom, you can just kind of pop the stem out, and we wipe them clean with a damp cloth. We don't wash our mushrooms, we just kind of wipe them clean, get organic mushrooms. Mushrooms have a lot of water, and they also spoil fast, so you preserve their life a little longer, and you just kind of preserve their texture a little better.
And their flavor as well.
But a damp cloth, just to get the dirt off.
Mm-hmm. These are actually creminis, which are just baby portobellos who haven't developed their gills yet.
So then we can put in our mushrooms. All right. I was gonna pick up the board, but go for it. You just go for it.
Mushrooms have a lot of liquid in them, so you're gonna see that they're gonna release a lot of juices in a minute.
So I'm just going to chop this sage, and then we're going to add some veggie broth into our gravy because that's how you get a little liquid in your gravy for a little flavor. So let's add that veggie broth in there.
And you want to add it in sort of slowly. Stir it around and add a little bit more.
Yeah, looks good. And Heather's using a coated whisk because this is a coated pan. And so you don't want to use a metal whisk in there because it would scratch your coating and you know, pay good money for your pans. You don't want to scratch the surface.
And really scratching the surface actually, you know, you emit toxins after you've scratched the surface. So you do want to use the right tools for the right pots and pans. And you can kind of see this is getting a little bit thicker. So our roux is working.
And you want to cook any sauce that has a roux in it for about 7 to 10 minutes at least, because it takes time to cook the flour out to make it digestible. So you just want to keep that in mind. Even though it looks thick right now, we're going to need a little more time with that. Yeah, you can put all that in there and it's going to looks really good. You know, there's a bunch of different kinds of gravy. If you're making a southern style gravy, what you use is we use almond milk or soy milk to make our sauce nice and thick for a southern style gravy. And you use a lot more flour and margarine because that needs a really thick roux because it's southern style. So a lot of really nice sage. I'm not even going to put all that in there because those other sage leaves were so big. So we'll put a good amount, maybe put a little at the end for a little more flavor. We're also going to put in some other herbs. So we have just a little dried oregano. You can use fresh oregano, some sea salt, and some pepper in here as well. So we're just going to put those in. And our sea salt is sticky because sea salt should be sticky. And for a little more flavor, just a little lemon juice and a little agave. You can use a little maple syrup, just a little kick in there. Alrighty. And that's going to be delicious. It already looks delicious. And we can use our tongs and kind of move some of the seitan around a little bit as well to just kind of coat it in our marinade here. Okay. Maybe you want to rotate those pieces of seitan around again. Keep marinating, keep rotating. And we also want to reheat our gravy because that is just sitting here and you can see how it does have a little jiggle to it. So it's going to be a little firmer, so you really need to reheat it and swish it around, make sure that it's nice and saucy for your seitan. Because you can't have the seitan without the gravy. So this is a high heat spatula, so I can stir it around a little bit, make it nice and saucy. Meanwhile, we can plate up our seitan, so we'll get that out of the oven. And then we have a nice little browning on the top, and it looks really good and bubbly and wonderful. And then I'm also going to just put in our stuffing so that it warms up for a minute. We'll plate up our seitan. Let me grab a dish. We want to use real dishes on Thanksgiving. It's like the time that you get to do that, you know? So I make, you know, this is a lot. This is Thanksgiving. Yeah. You really got to do it up. Do it up, guys. Do it up. Maybe get a little bit of that, you know, marinade the sauce on there, pour it on. Don't let that go to waste, you know, spill it on the side of your plate. And then we also have the gravy, which we're going to put in a dish as well. So I'll pour this into the pitcher over the sink. Don't attempt this unless you're really ready. Oh, look at that. I'm spilling a little, it's okay. I know, you guys, I know.
For fun and delicious vegan cooking classes served anytime, visit sporkonline.com or contact Heather and Jenny at sporkfoods.com for vegan catering and consultation.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/VEG.